31 Days of Horror with Mark.
Hello.
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 Goodbye.
Bye.
Supposed to do this last week, but we finished the films really late, so we're like,
Yeah, it was about, what, quarter to 2? Or something? Yeah, we're super sleepy.
yeah.
But-
So so we actually kind of use it as an excuse. So films we're talking about this evening are It Chapter 1 and 2, and also the original 1990 miniseries, which was TV, not film.
Indeed.
Which people always thought it was a film, but it's not a film.
It's not, no.
No, so yeah, so we
Oh my
watched
God, what's going on?
don't know. So we watched the original miniseries tonight. So you want to talk about that first, or you want to talk about the original films?
Yeah,
No, the
well-
original films.
Well,
Like-
we'll talk about the one we watched tonight first, and then we can sort of... Yeah.
Okay, then we'll do that. We'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we'll brief synopsis again if anybody isn't kind of aware, which I can't imagine given like how much marketing the other kind of films got, you wouldn't be like aware. But so it is not to do with information technology, but to do with a fear entity that essentially kind of takes the form of like your greatest fear, which by all accounts seems to be a evil fucking clown.
Yes.
So the most frequent guys is Pennywise. Hello. Cute little toy. I got my girlfriend because love.
Yes.
So that's the later version. But anywho, so most people, so they do see elements of the fear. It's definitely kind of, I think, more upgraded in the the kind of, I'm gonna say retelling, because it's
Yeah.
like it's not so much a remake as opposed to
Yeah,
kind of
sort
like
reimagining
a
something.
different adaptation.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the first thing I kind of noticed about this, and like one started kind of like thinking and panicking and stuff like that, was
Oh, aye.
that she thought we were watching like the second part. So the way the miniseries is kind of laid out, it's two 90-minute kind of parts, and the DVD comes on one of these kind of original kind of flipper discs. There's a couple of, I think I still own a couple of kind of flipper discs there, but I think, for example, South Park is widescreen on one side and full screen on the other. Fucking weird, but this is like part one's on one side and part two's on the other. So one was just like, Mark, this is definitely part two. I was like, it's not part two, just calm down.
I
And
was, but
yeah.
I think it's just because we hadn't seen the
No,
original one until
yeah.
tonight.
I had no idea
Hang our
what.
heads in shame.
No, really. Like,
Well, yeah, it's just that, because I said to Claire last week before we watched like the modern sort of It. She was just like, I was like, we haven't seen the original one. She was like, she goes, even I've seen that. I'm just like,
yeah, but I'm
was
sorry,
just
but
like-
like the amount of kind of films that Claire hadn't seen, she hadn't seen Christine.
well, she watched it that night.
Well, I know, but still, like, no.
No,
Anyway,
no, but she
Anyway,
just like, so I'm just giving a shout out to Claire. So, yes.
anyway. So
Anyway.
so the way this is adapted, so the like the newer versions, first kind of parts all the kids, but this one is essentially it's all the adults, but then they all have kind of flashbacks to when they were kind of children, kind of thing, and they're effectively their experiences with it. So you get kind of Bill first, and like he kind of flashes back, and then you see the Georgie thing before or after he flashes back, or
Should you really remember this because we just watched it?
I know, but like it's just kind of wrapped up, and
I know. Well, yeah, because oh my God, that's really annoying.
but anyway, the most notable scene, obviously, that everybody remembers, not just for the remake, but like the I think the scene that was going to be kind of compared and everything in the original was Georgie kind of loses SS Georgie in like the sewer grate and meets Pennywise for the first time, and it's Tim Curry in the vent kind of thing.
Because I think in the original one, the first time you see Pennywise, can I just don't do that? Just like obviously you see Pennywise really quickly when it's just like obviously when he attacks that wee girl and stuff, and then it's
Yes.
just like, well, yeah, you just kind of
This is
Just
definitely part 2, Mark.
Oh yeah, well that's why I was just like, oh, because I'm just so used to the original one, just with Georgie. And
You're so used to the original one.
well, you know the remake, the remake.
So that's not the original
I
then.
know it's not the original, but that's what I'm used to anyway. So I apologise. That's why I thought it was. That's why I thought it was the second part.
Yeah.
Because it was yeah.
So probably the first thing I would kind of say in this one, Groot, what are you doing?
I don't know
He's picked up on something.
Yeah.
He's probably seen Pennywise. Ooh, Groot. So you see the kind of scene, like the sewer grate scene and everything, and then it kind of basically goes to like every other kind of character. They're effectively phoned. Oh, by the way, it's Mike, and as soon as they're like, Mike who, and he's like, from Derry. They're like, it's back, and they're all shitting themselves, and then they all kind of flash back to when they kind of saw stuff in the ring. So most of the young kids are fairly unknown. I'm pretty sure I recognise the guy that played Eddie. I'm pretty sure I recognise the guy that played Bill, young Bill.
Yeah, I think I recognise him too. Don't know
And
what from them.
we all recognise the young guy that played Richie because it was Seth Green. The first thing I said to Yvonne, a lot of the kids were more. It looked like they were definitely kind of starting to kind of go more north of their kind of teens. Like they were almost kind of like almost kind of past puberty already, and I was just like,
because I'd say Eddie looked really young.
yeah.
And Eddie looked really young. Bill looked sort of in the middle.
Yeah.
And Ben looked about 17.
So I say Ben looked about 40, but and also Seth Green looked relatively old in comparison to the rest of them as well.
16, 17.
Yeah, just kind of slapping through the growth spurt kind of thing.
Whereas in the recent one, you can all believe they're more believable in the age sort of thing.
Well, that's because they're all kids.
Well, yeah, no, I know, but I'm just saying this. It didn't seem very believable to me that they'd all be in the same class.
Yeah.
And it was just like, these are all the same age.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
So the through the kind of course of the kind of flashbacks, you see the losers actually kind of becoming kind of friends and everything, and the scenes where they're all together, I think it's actually it's quite kind of well done. Like, smile a bit, you're kind of like going,
I'm not.
I realise I'm boring you. But yeah, I think a few of the kind of scenes actually kind of I thought was quite cool when they're all building the dam together. You're just like, oh, they're all having fun. That's nice and everything. But I think for the most part, so I was saying to Yvonne that just after it kind of wrapped up, in terms of comparison, I thought the second half was way better than the first, and I think the biggest issue for me was some of the unbelievably shan acting on kind of so the guy playing Bowers. I think was absolutely horrendous, like not even remotely intimidating.
No.
And again, a lot of this unfortunately is going to kind of draw comparisons with the new one because that's the ones we saw first, and I'm kind of glad I saw the new one first because I didn't really kind of know what to expect, and I was kind of glad that I could have waited, but
Because I think with Henry's character,
that's fine. On you go.
Sorry, you took a gas, so I just thought I'll just jump in. So I'm just going to say with Henry's character, obviously he's quite a troubled gentleman, obviously, and just he's obviously got issues with his dad and stuff because his dad's the sheriff, isn't he?
They didn't really kind of establish that in the original one because we're talking about the original miniseries just now, and then we'll try and compare to the later one, but no, that's fine.
I'll just say, he's troubled anyway. I'm just but he's just he's not intimidating at all.
No, but again, in comparison to the bloke they got playing in the 2017 version, so I think a lot of this is just going to be like, it's not as good as that version.
I did like.
But I'm saying in general, where I'm not debating. Calm down, shush. So
It's going to get heated.
Do you wish to say more? Because you cut me off. You might as well kind of use the time.
Well, I do have a lot of fish to say, so yeah. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. But having a it's going to get very heated, I think.
Aye, okay then.
Yes, because you're wrong.
Shut up and keep talking, which I realise doesn't make sense, but come on.
Aye, and I found as well at the start, it's just, what was it, Bill and Eddie? It's just the two of them, and then Ben joins, and again, Mike's sort of later and stuff, and then
Mike's the last.
Yeah, Mike's the last one. Yeah, but yeah, it's just really obviously they are friends with Stan and Richie as well. But
Yeah.
obviously you don't see them, but it's
Aye.
just the two. Like you see Bill and Eddie first.
I don't know. I kind of liked the way they done that because it was that kind of bitty introducing kind of thing. So
Yeah.
like each of them got like a mini bit, and then they were kind of brought into the kind of larger group. So I thought that was kind of fine.
Yeah.
Whereby like again in the later version, there's like at least a mini core group already, which again there is technically in this as well, but like again, like it just goes there you go kind of thing. So I liked how they kind of were like bits. Here's all the rest of them. I think the person that got the least amount of screen time, which I thought was a wee bit shit because I think again he definitely kind of gets more fleshed out in the new one. Was Stan. I thought Stan was just kind of like, here's Stan. Oh, by the way, Stan's Jewish and he's a Cub Scout for some reason. And he barely got any lines.
No, he doesn't say much. He's I think in the new one he is there, but he does say a wee bit more. But
I wonder if that's more to do with his fate, effectively.
Yeah.
Because they were maybe like, well, we didn't really need to spend this much time with this character because of what effectively happens to him.
I do have a fondness for Stan though. I do like him.
But I do think, as I say, I preferred the way he was kind of fleshed out in the later version.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like fans of the original like 1990 version. I'm sorry, but yeah. So it's.
I do like how it does have a very Stand By Me sort of feel to it with the. Well, no, I just mean like more with the kids.
Well.
It's just like they're very welcoming to like welcome Mike. Just like when he's attacked by like Henry and the gang sort of thing. They're very quick to defend him, which I think is quite nice. It's just like join our group. Just like we'll protect you, and then they chuck the stones at Henry and stuff and the gang and stuff. I think that's quite nice.
So I mean that's
same with Ben.
No, on you go.
Sorry.
Please stop that.
Sorry. Oh, yeah, he's got some sense.
Ow. What was I going to say? Yeah, so the being very Stand By Me is because that's very technically Stephen King like, and there's at least 3 stories off the top of my head, and I've not kind of read any of the books. Shock. But definitely, so it's got like the whole kind of like kid menagerie. You've got Stand By Me or The Body, which I think the book is called, and then there's Dreamcatcher, which for some reason a lot of people hate the film. I like the film. I'm pretty sure you said you liked it a bit more when we watched it again.
Yeah, I thought but again, I do like that whole childhood friends. They grow up together. They get they kind of meet back up again. Obviously under not very nice circumstances sometimes, but yeah. But
so the first part basically concentrates on the kids. I thought for the most part, and I will kind of get to it, but like it's definitely a product to its budget. Like definitely the biggest kind of thing for the newer one again. I'm sorry I keep mentioning the newer one, but it's obviously the biggest comparison I've got. But there's definitely a lot of kind of money behind this, and this was kind of made for TV. And I think back in the day, I mean, obviously it was kind of like 3 full hours, 2 parts. I'd imagine it would have aired separate time slots on TV. I don't think they would have showed the whole thing. Excuse me, sorry. So a lot of the kind of special effects aren't amazing, but they aren't terrible. So there's a kind of scene where Pennywise appears in a shower. So just beforehand, and this is in front of Eddie kind of thing. Like all the shower heads kind of come out and it looks like they're attacking him. So
cool.
that looked pretty cool. And then there's a stop motion animation bit where Pennywise like extends the kind of grate. It's only on for a second, but I didn't actually like. I was sitting there going, "Oh, this could look quite dodgy," and it didn't really.
No, it was good.
And I think the other kind of big, massive special effect is in the kind of second part with the spider crab thing. Probably the best way to kind of describe it, or the spider crab. I'd heard horror stories about that, no pun intended, about how kind of shite it looked. I didn't think it looked all that bad. Like some of the kind of shots whereby obviously like the characters are in the foreground, it looked a wee bit kind of dodgy, but again for TV back in the 1990s, the budget they must have kind of slapped together for this must have been relatively high. So I didn't actually think it looked that bad. I think the thing that disappointed me the most, and probably I think a lot of people did, and that's maybe why it was essentially updated for the newer version as well, is that there's a kind of lackey a showdown with Tim Curry, which kind of brings me effectively to what I would say the best part of the whole thing. And this is maybe why I thought the second part was way better. But Tim Curry was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
We'd heard and we'd seen kind of like clips and stuff like that. But there's a reason why he's so fondly remembered, and an awful lot of it, I think, is actually kind of on the back foot kind of thing.
Yeah.
And didn't get me wrong, there's a decent cast. You've got John Boy Walton, who I never remember his name, but John Boy Walton,
Rocking
because
that ponytail, don't know if it's real or not.
yeah, ponytail. You've got John Ritter, who I miss that guy. Like anytime I ever saw him in anything, particularly Bad Santa, I thought it was absolutely hilarious in Bad Santa. I think it was the last film he was actually in. And Annette O'Toole, who played Clark Kent's mum in like Smallville, and she also played Lana Lang in Superman 3. But yeah, the core cast are quite decent. I thought that, like as it says, when it kind of moved on to the second part and it focused more on them, there was definitely better acting. Don't get me wrong, there was some shite acting kind of smooshed in there every once in a while. But like Tim Curry was absolutely like phenomenal with throughout. Whenever he like appeared, like creepy presence. He was engaging. He was funny. The scene in the library I thought was actually really kind of good, where he's basically kind of gone ape shit at Richie.
Yeah, all with before with the balloons as well.
So he's got the noise maker and he's making all the noise and he's telling Richie to get out and everything. I thought that was pretty good. I liked how when everybody kind of came back to tune as well, and I think this is again reminiscent of the other one, but they all had their experiences with Pennywise, but it focused more, like it gave Tim Curry more time to go, hiya, I'm actually in this as well. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of, I thought that was pretty good.
I think the bit where when Bill's visiting Georgie's grave and he turns and he sees Pennywise and like he sees all the graves laid out and he says, oh, one's already filled and obviously doesn't know about Stan yet.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. You're like, oh man, and obviously we know, we're just like, oh man, that Stan's. But it's just like, it's just quite creepy. I'm sitting there and so just like, these are ready for you sort of thing, which is quite creepy. There's one bit I don't really get. It's obviously
contentious.
Bev is obviously good with the catapult and stuff like that, in the first part.
Slingshot or as we used to call it in Scotland, a gutty. I don't know why it was called a gutty, but it was called a gutty.
Anyway, sorry, slingshot. And what's with the silver things? He's not a bloody werewolf. Why the silver?
So I think back when they kind of I also just to kind of talk so basically the silver things are Richie's mum's earrings. It's Richie's mum, isn't it? That get and they're silver, but it looks like he's really piss poorly melted in them down. Like he's just kind of maybe kind of held them over a flame and they've maybe kind of squished for a second. Yeah. Unless she was wearing them like that, and I'm just like, look, Ken, you can afford better, and these were solid silver. You're like, aye, I'm sure they were. But yeah, so I think the thinking behind it is like, if you believe these will kill him, then apparently that will kind of date, and so that's apparently why we're so powerful. Right. But yeah,
I was just like, right, okay. Unless I must have I don't think I zoned out any bit, but I was just like, I just didn't quite get that bit. I was just like, I don't just use rocks or something. I don't know why they've got to be silver big.
But speaking of Bev, again, I really like Annette O'Toole. I think she's entirely underrated in Smallville. I think the show in general is underrated, but she's really, really good. I like the fact that they brought her back to be Clark's mom and everything, because I remember her for watching Superman 3 when I was a kid and everything. So I thought, but yeah, so the one thing we were both commenting on is she's very affectionate to the group, which we were just like, all right then. So when they meet her for the first time, she's just like, who are all these handsome men? And then swoon, and then she actually faints in front of them all as well. And then they revive her, and all of them are crowded around. She's like, oh my god! And then she starts hugging, which again is another thing I'll mention as well. There's a lot of fucking hugging in this film, a lot of hugging. Everybody, every 4 seconds is like, kind of thing, or
it's like obviously they're going through a dramatic thing, but it's very it's very like, oh my god, just But she gets really kind of amorous with a lot. So the first time she kind of she sees Ben, Bill again. So everybody else is maybe a wee kiss on the cheek and everything. She goes up to Bill. Bear in mind as well that Bill's married, and she just kind of goes for it, and we're just I don't think it's her. I think it's him. He actually just does this.
Yeah, we're not going to kiss on camera him.
But
And like, was it Taco Maniac or whatever? And like the last time we streamed live, it was like, "Oh, do a kiss cam or something." Like, fuck off, weirdo. But yeah, like,
Bill, you're married.
aye,
Just
but
like,
she's
oh.
like, but the two of them are just like, "Hello," and it's just like, "Oh, all right then." And it's not just like a wee. Oh, it's like so nice to see. Yeah, if it's just like a little kiss on the lips, it would have been like, "Oh, that's nice." But it was just like, "Hello," and they're
And
just
then
like,
everyone was just like, "Oh, God."
kind of like, where the fuck do we look now, kind of thing. So, but like, there's a few points there. Like, I think does she not kiss Richie on the lips as well? I don't know. Like, she's very kind of huggy and kissy, and there's like scenes where she's being massaged by people, and they're all kind
She's
of.
being massaged by Ben, and
yeah.
like, cuddling up to Eddie and stuff like that, and just like, yeah. So it's just the closeness of the group, I think.
But like, I think she gets really close.
Yeah.
Like really close. It's like, oh, okay
Yeah,
then.
well, but they've
So-
been through a lot, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And just kind of going back to that as well, like I think one of my favourite interactions with Pennywise is with Ben. So like when like Bev meets him in the room, and she's like, you know, your hair is winter fire, and she's like quoting the poem, and he's like, oh, you finally figured out it was me, kind of thing. And then like they start like banging off and getting really kind of into it, and it turns out that it's Pennywise kind of getting it on. But like the thing I really liked about that is when like when they kind of separated, he actually had some of Pennywise's makeup on his cheek. I thought that was really cool. Before he obviously shat his pants and kind of ran out the room. I thought, again, just kind of in comparison, I thought later Bowers was kind of handled kind of like slapdash. A lot of this, I think, is really kind of slapdash. And again, I think it was like budget. They obviously had enough time to get in. Like, and I think they done it the best justice they possibly could have at the time. But like I thought a lot of it was slapdash, because says the Bowers like he sees Pennywise in the moon and he kind of helps him, and then suddenly he's in Derry, and then he attacks Mike and everything, and then he's basically off within seconds. It's like it's
Yeah.
because
What was I going to say? Because when he's in the psychiatric ward and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, the nurse is just like, you know, he's like, pretty much, what is it going to make? It's almost like he's implying he's going to like batter the hell out of him. He doesn't shut up. Like the nurse, he's just like kind of.
the orderly.
The orderly, yeah,
orderly.
but it's just like, you know, shut the hell up sort of thing, and which is, you know, well, the best way to be, I suppose. But
I thought it was quite funny as well that, like, you know, for a secure facility, because like, you know, Bowers essentially kind of admits to all the kind of like the murders that Pennywise kind of committed back in like 30 years ago. They actually round it up in this one. I don't know if that's a product of like the book or the newer version of the product of the book, but like it's 30 years. But so this kind of dangerous criminal went about murdering shitloads of kids when like 30 years ago, is not only not in a secure fucking room, but is lying in a bed in the hall. I thought that
it's just a hole, isn't it?
Aye, just a hole. Like there's no kind of bars, there's no grates, there's nothing like to stop him getting like as far as he does. Which I thought was like, you know, just let anybody wander a bit, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm just going to go, not by Henry, but I'm just going to go back a wee bit, just quickly. Sorry,
Talking about Henry and the unsecure facilities in Juniper Hills, I think it was called.
Sorry, just to go back just a wee bit, I just would like to say that in the first part with the kids, the bit that I thought was really, really cool was a bit with the scrapbook. When Mike's showing that, you get Pennywise away. When he's obviously going through the photos, and then Pennywise appears in the photo, and then he comes right up to the photo. I thought that was really cool. It was just like, yeah, that's pretty awesome.
Do you think it was Tim Curry doing the flips? So you know how like they've obviously.
I think it was Tim Curry.
Yeah. I mean
he's been Rocky Horror and stuff. So,
yeah, he could have been quite limber.
Yeah.
Yeah, so nice segue, Yvonne. If we're talking about kind of albums and books, I actually thought the bit at the start was quite cool. I'll segue into another wee bit in a second, but like when Bill's looking through the kind of photo album, and then the photo album goes apeshit, and then the blood all leaking out. I thought that was actually quite kind of well done. It looked pretty decent. Oh well, the blood starts kind of leaking out underneath kind of Georgie's photo, and then like his parents see it and they're like, "What the hell? What are you doing with this?" Now they're obviously able to disguise it a lot better again in the kind of the later ones. But whenever there's like the blood that people can't see. They still have it all over their hands and shit. I thought that was a wee bit kind of like, because I thought it would have been better personally if she had picked up the photo album and there was fuck all on it. Like if it was absolutely kind of clean, or if it was kind of like it was a wee bit kind of red. But then you still seen the wee pile of blood, or Bill could still see the wee pile of blood in the corner kind of thing. But it was the fact that it was just kind of like it was all over her hands when she put it back down. She's like, la la. Would you not be sitting there going, why the fuck are my hands wet? I can't see anything. Oh, I'm just gonna go like, oh, it smells a bit like, you know, blood here. What in the, you know, whatever. But yeah, it was that I thought was a wee bit kind of weird, because it wasn't the there's the scene where the blood comes at the sink and everything with Bev, and like her dad, like he's kind of busy fondling the sink, and then he kind of like brushes past her cheek and leaves a kind of like a fingerprint on. So he's obviously got the blood on him, because he can obviously physically interact. But then it's kind of thing, oh well. It's weird. So as weird as it sounds, I mean, I do like the full-on version in the kind of remake, but I actually quite liked the wee balloon just kind of like coming at the kind of sink and then going pop. I thought that was really cool.
I think
all right, Groot.
I think it does work better. Again, sorry, I'm not ragging on the original one, but I think it does work better with just like red balloons. I think the different coloured balloons, although I haven't said that, I think it was still quite effective, because at one point all these balloons.
Yeah, I was missing the red balloons because just because I think they're really kind of striking in the update as well. Yeah. So original version, all in all, I actually quite enjoyed it.
I liked it.
The first part has got some absolutely shit acting. As I say, the guy playing young Bowers, just terrible. Not good at all. I think a couple of the kind of like the reactions, like when Bill starts to stutter at first, I was kind of like, oh, but I actually think like as it progressed, it actually kind of like it sounded more natural. But like when it first started, I was like, all right then, kind of thing. The bloke playing Richie, I think in the later version, I thought he was quite good as well. But yeah, so all in all, I can see why a lot of people kind of liked it. I would watch it again. I didn't actually think it was kind of like, I didn't think, oh god, I could never watch this again. Actually, I enjoyed what I've seen. Had a wee kind of giggle at some of it, as I say, some of the shoddy acting. But I think unfortunately, and we just kind of segue right into this, we both prefer the new ones.
Yeah.
Sorry, kind of aficionados. And I think again, for the most part, it's budget. So obviously both were kind of distributed by Warner Brothers, so it would have been Warner Brothers TV back in the day, unless they managed to kind of get the rights a bit later on. I don't know how it's kind of worked there, but as a result, obviously, like the money behind it and the kind of talent and obviously the production values are ramped up kind of 100-fold. I think a lot of people had a problem with some of the CGI and the follow-up in the second one. And I get that. Like, I get some of the kind of scenes in It Chapter 2 were a wee bit kind of like, but I think all in all, in general, it's a lot more polished. It's also, so just kind of, we'll start just kind of rattling in. So if we're going by Chapter 1, it just focuses on the kids. It doesn't kind of show that any of the adults at any point. And as such, a lot more of them get character development, particularly, as we'd kind of mentioned, Stan, I think, is a lot more kind of developed in this. A lot of them actually are. I'd probably kind of say, if we're talking about underdeveloped characters in the first chapter, I'd probably say Richie's the most underdeveloped, because all the rest of them, you actually see their parents. I mean, you briefly see their kind of parents, because I think it's one of these things where it's just like, this is about the kids, but you do get to see, like, you get a semblance of kind of like everybody's kind of home life. But Richie's the only one I don't think you get to see his kind of...
because you see like Eddie's mum, you see, you don't really see, but you see Bill's dad, but you don't see Bill's mum at the piano.
I know, but at the same point, you still see them.
Well, yeah, you see her briefly, you see Richie,
yeah. And I mean, I don't know if they're just like, right, Richie's the motor mouth, so he can just kind of, like, he can essentially just like be Richie kind of thing. So, yeah, okay, like, well, we get hair and makeup in here, Yvonne.
I'm just like, what's my Sorry.
I'm sitting here missing a whole tooth, and you're just like, "Oh, Nick,
No,
stop doing this
I know, it
thing."
was probably my sorry. So
So was that razor burn? So yeah, so character-wise, as I say, I think Richie's the most underdeveloped, but at the same time, like it's no as if we're sitting there going, "Who's Richie? What exactly is his deal?" But even like for example, Mike, you get to see he's actually kind of. Is it his granddad? I think it's So his granddad, and obviously you get a bit of backstory as to why Mike is by himself. Yvonne really wants to say something, despite the fact that I'm actually trying to get my point across. So I'm going to shush for a second.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say. Well, that's what we're supposed to be collaborating. We're supposed to
I know, but collaboration means that let me kind of say something and then you chime in, and then I didn't interrupt you.
I'm sorry. Just want to take a breather. I just want to say that.
I'm only taking a breather because you only let me kind of like continue to talk.
I just want to say that I just thought that the kids in the new one, it was very believable. They just looked like they'd been friends for ages, and not just for the film. They were just very believable sort of group, and they just sort of meshed really well together. And I liked how obviously in the original one as well, Richie's kind of like the comic relief almost, but I also think Eddie is as well. I think Eddie's really funny. Just because obviously his mum's kind of said he needs to take all this stuff and he doesn't really. And obviously he says in the original that it's just water. It's just, you don't need these inhalers, but your mum's obviously saying that you're sick, so you need to take them and stuff like that. But sorry, you're in a mood with me now.
No, whatever.
All right. But yeah, I just I think Georgie actually both of them's adorable. I think he's just the cutest. I think obviously how Bill is sick. Is he actually sick or is he not?
Oh, I'm allowed to.
You're allowed to talk now.
Anyway, I'm just going to keep talking till the end of this, and I'm not going to let her kind of get word in edgewise. But I think it is implied that he's not as sick as he's he's making it, especially because it's established more in the second chapter. But I'm just kind of talking about Georgie. I think so. Despite the fact that Tim Curry and popping up in the sewer grate and everything was kind of like, holy fuck, that wouldn't be happening. You see a clown in the sewer grate, but I'm not even particularly feared of clowns, unlike our good friend Ant. Ant. Oh! But
nice.
even if I think if any normal person saw that in a sewer grate, they'd be like, no, fuck, I'm out. But I think again. In the remake, I think we've definitely been spoiled by the remake, redoing, reimagining, further update, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's definitely better drawn out. I think because it just kind of it seems like it's over really kind of quickly in the original version, but in the new version it's kind of drawn out. Pennywise introduces himself and he definitely kind of allows Georgie to lower his guard and as such that whole scene's really kind of tense, and I think it's really kind of well done. Plus Bill Skarsgård, the guy that was the new Pennywise, I think absolutely smashed it in the park. I don't think we're the only ones. So my friend Paul, who is a supreme Stephen King aficionado, as far as I kind of know as well, was very largely impressed with the remake and the casting and everything as well. So the original version, again, you see each of the kids essentially kind of meeting Pennywise, and then they eventually all get together in a park and and the centre of tune was like, yeah, we've all seen a fecking clown. Oh yeah, okay. So and then the first one's what, 2.5 hours? It's quite long, isn't it?
Part,
because I think the second one is just shy of 3 as well. So it's quite they're both quite kind of long. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, obviously one of my favourite bits in the first part is with Ben in the library when
but you didn't notice it at first.
No, I didn't notice it, but now I think the second time I watched it I noticed it and I was like, oh god. It's like when Ben's studying up on Derry and he's looking at all the pictures, you just see the librarian sort of kind of lurking in the background.
Yeah, she's out of focus and she just kind of stares at him, kind of thing.
Really creepy.
The obviously the implication is that Pennywise is always around, even when he's not around, kind of thing. So even though you're seeing the big scary kind of monster versions and the the subsequent bit with Ben where like he comes across the kind of kid with the like the missing like burnt off heat and the kind of burning eggs.
Yep.
Which I actually think like the way that kind of bit's played out is really kind of like cool. The way it kind of comes downstairs at first, and obviously the way it's kind of framed is you didn't actually see that he's headless.
Yeah.
And then he takes another step, and then that coupled with the fact that like the egg cracks on the ground, I actually think that's really kind of like nice because you're sitting there going, nope, I'm fucking out. But yeah, so I was just going to say, like, I agree. I think the like the out of focus librarian is really cool.
And it's also Ben. I mean, like any other, I think Ben's just traumatized, but he doesn't really scream or anything, does he? I think he's just. What does he? I can't remember. It's just that you think there'd be.
I think
more,
there's a lot of like Well, I mean, he
Yeah.
definitely screams. So, just kind of again comparing. The scene where he's effectively kind of bullied, fairly horrifically,
it's
like
awful.
just by the bridge by Bowers and his kind of crew.
Yeah.
Again, in this version, it's so much more intense, and it's definitely kind of made all the better by the absolute psychopath that Bowers is actually kind of portrayed in this version, kind of thing. Like in the original, he's kind of mere, like almost kind of like. You're the bully, pal. Like, there's bits where like he slips on food. Excuse me. Great. Oi, out. Come on.
Boots under the telly.
Sorry. But yeah, like, but in this version, that scene in particular, because like, again, it's implied that he's gonna cut Ben in the original version, but in this version, he just kind of goes for it, and he manages to cut the whole bloody H in before Ben falls down the hill, kind of thing. So I thought that, like, as I say, the guy playing Bowers in this one is definitely more unhinged and definitely kind of sells the, this boy is kind of broken and absolute kind of psychopathic kind of thing.
And I think even his like sort of crew, they're kind of like, they even sort of question him sometimes, don't they? They're just like, oh, well, didn't he do that? And they're like, he just like kind of screams at them, doesn't he? So he's just like, when Ben kind of pushes off, he kind of kicks off Henry, and he's just like pushes away, and he rolls down the hill, and when Henry loses the knife, he's just like, oh, it's my dad's sort of thing. He's just like,
my dad will kill me kind of thing. And then obviously you start to get the inkling as to why he's so like off his head kind of thing, because he's obviously been
his dad's obviously just traumatised him quite a bit.
I think there's a lot of kind of weird, overbearing and sometimes downright fucking creepy parents in this one. So you've got Eddie's mum, who's just basically she's kind of pumping him full of gazebos, which I think is one of the fucking funniest lines in the kind of film. They're gazebos, they're bullshit. I thought it was really kind of cool. So she's really kind of like, why are you going out with your friends and like she's
very your mind sort of thing. Can't mix with anybody. Stay at home.
And we can't mention creepy parents at all without mentioning Bev's dad, because that shit's
absolute
fucked
scum.
up. Again, thankfully they didn't kind of go into. I don't know if it's elaborated more on the book. I'm not too sure because neither of us have read it. But it's thankfully subtly implied as to what his kind of intentions are towards his daughter, and it's just like And also, is it the chemist as well?
The pharmacist.
The pharmacist is just like. Screw you. It's like you look like Clark Kent, and like Mr. Pharmacist guy, because I can't remember his name. And it's like, oh, look at that, you're like Lewis Lane. Like absolutely kind of gross, and he just looks like this kind of weird actually looks like a bit of a weird melted old Clark Kent thing. And he's just like nut kind of thing. So
also Denny and the creepy blokes. Just like
Bill's parents are effectively like absent because obviously they're kind of gone through shit. Stan's kind of dad's a wee bit kind of like he's just like, you're never gonna like learn like, or you're never gonna kind of like
you're the rabbi's son sort of
exactly what was going to look like if the rabbi's son kind of read for the Torah during his bar mitzvah kind of thing. But yeah, as I say, I think I really like the way that Stan's a lot more fleshed out in this one. Him and Richie's kind of relationship again is a lot more kind of cemented. Like they all are, but as I say, Stan definitely gets better screen time in this.
Just speaking about Stan, the creepy ass photo. Well, not photo, sorry, the painting in his dad's office.
Who the fuck would keep that? It's just to kind of like completely segue, and well, it kind of counts because we're talking about clowns. But I've always kind of thought this in Poltergeist, the film. The kid has that fucking creepy ass clown. And again, I'm no overly scared of clowns kind of thing. Don't get me wrong, if one came in the house and like tried to kind of kill me, I'd probably like, what the fuck is going on?
I'd be like, I'm trying to sleep.
But the clown in the Poltergeist is this incredibly fucked up, weird, smiling, almost porcelain thing. I'm like, what kind of parent buys their child that? And by that same token, what kind of person goes, this is a nice painting? It's fucking weird. It's just like, yeah, she's all like twisty and...
Oh, she's got a really thin face, weird eyes, and just like playing some kind of flute or something. And I think the fact stands like, oh, I'd be doing that and all. I'd be like, no.
Yeah,
like,
so
just not.
I think that's quite well done because it kind of plays like on that. I don't know about you, but and I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there would have been some weird, creepy thing in your kind of house when you were a kid that when you looked at it, you're just like, ugh, kind of thing. I'm just trying to think if I had a specific one, but like I kind of feel like I did. So I don't know if that's maybe kind of more a psychological thing, but that definitely kind of plays really well because it seems like it kind of talks to everybody that's ever kind of had something that's kind of creeped them out, like as a child in their house, and they couldn't like it's the basement in at the start with kind of Georgie when he goes in the basement to get the kind of wax again is quite well replicated in Home Alone because I remember when I watched Home Alone back in the day, and I realised again this is another segue, and Home Alone's a PG and everything, but I remember when I first kind of watched that, the scene where he goes into the basement, it creeped me the fuck out as well. I don't know about you as well. So again, like it plays on the fairly kind of common inherent fears on everybody, which is obviously what Pennywise is all about.
I think it's just because it's a dark place. It's just like, you know, you're away from kind of like the main house and stuff like that. You're going down creepy stairs. Just like, I'd be the same. Even like now, I think I don't really like going anywhere that's, not that I do or anything, but to say if I walk down a dark street, I'm like, oh god, no. Just like, yeah, I'm not a big fan of the dark. Yeah.
So, so definitely the first part is kind of, I'd probably kind of say, watching them together actually is quite good because we done that last week, and then the first time we saw It Chapter 2, I am not even remotely bitter about that, but I only kind of elaborate on that too much. But yeah, so the first time we watched It Chapter 2, we actually watched it in a double bill as well. And I think maybe the and it's not that I disliked Chapter 2 at all. Like I know it got a lot of kind of hate for some of the as I say, like some of the CG people were kind of ragging on as well. But I think when we saw it the first time, because obviously it was a midnight screening, I think by the second one I was just like, fuck, I've got 2.5 hours or 3 hours still to go. So
you can do it with Avengers. You can do it with It.
Well, yeah, but as it says, I still enjoyed it. I stayed awake during it, unlike some people usually kind of do when we do late screenings.
Listen, I was like fully focused because I was so excited for this. So I was.
Well, you should have told your face.
I loved it. I loved the doorbell.
But I think in comparison, I quite prefer the first part. But I think all together, I think it's really kind of well done. The first, so just kind of moving on to the second one, unless you want to say anything about the first one before we move on, because we've already been talking about for 45 minutes.
I know.
And people are going to get really kind of bored, and they're going to start switching off, or they're going to start deleting.
Just got some more to see.
What have you got? What else?
No, I'm just trying to think anything else on the first one. Just quickly, no, I don't think so. But yeah, I just actually, I was just going to ask, who do you think gets it roughest in the first part?
Ben.
Ben, do you?
Well, do you know?
No, I think Eddie does.
In the first part?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think Eddie does. Me personally, I think Eddie does. I think Ben does get it rough. Don't get me wrong. But Eddie, he kind of has a really close encounter with Pennywise. Obviously, I know he sees him first.
Yeah, okay.
When Pennywise comes right up to him and he's like drooling over him, he strokes his face.
Which apparently apparently one of the first times they saw Bill Skarsgård in full kind of makeup and everything.
Yeah, because I think he was really worried about scaring the kids because he was kind of kept separate, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and then that reaction from the kid that plays Eddie, he was just like, what did be really genuine, and like I think after they'd done another take, he was like, that was awesome.
I think it was something like he was just like, are you alright? And he was just like, it's like, I love your work, you're awesome, and then he just kind of ran off. Which sounds like the boy that kind of plays him, because like the guy that plays him is also in Shazam as well, and that kind of like he's quite a funny kind of actor as far as I can tell so far. But yeah, no, like
yeah.
we haven't really kind of talked about that. Yeah, so
I'll definitely see
the
it.
Pennywise encounters in the kind of in Nebo
Yeah.
are really kind of cool. And is it like the first time he kind of unfolds at the fridge and as you say, he's kind of goes for kind of Eddie. Yeah, fair enough.
Like,
And he's sitting there with his broken arm and everything. He's already kind of cabbaged. It's really cool. It's also, I think, it's quite well done. Like one of the creepiest bits when he gets the kind of pike through the face as well.
Yeah, Bev's like,
yeah.
Yeah.
But then again, right? Okay, so at this point as well. So bear in mind, Ben has been H'd before.
Yeah, I know.
He also gets
know.
slashed at that point as well.
He
So
does.
in terms of kind of physical torment, Ben I think actually gets quite a lot of shit.
Yes.
Especially in the first one, he's cut, he's beat up, he's kind of like sliced more than once.
No, that's true. But I
He's
think
leaking fucking hamburger helper over here.
He is, yeah. But I just Eddie definitely does get a body. I think even the second one, he does get a body as well.
Well,
For
yeah.
other reason. But yeah, just I know it's probably you shouldn't laugh at this bit, but I think when Eddie's arm was broken and they'll come to help him, like don't fucking touch it, and then just like somebody.
Richie's like, I'm gonna set your arm. Yeah.
And it's just another thing I find actually really, really upsetting, and I really do like Bev. I think she's like awesome. I think everyone's awesome in this, but the fact that there's obviously rumours about Bev and stuff like that, how she's
a lady of the evening.
Yeah, I just like come on, and just like the fact that the adults believe it as well, and it's just like Eddie's mum goes, and Bev.
I know about you and I
get really annoyed at the mum. I'm just like, oh yeah.
She's an arsehole.
Really no nice, and it's just like she's just like, I don't want a dirty little girl touching my thumb. I'm just like, oh no.
Yeah,
it's like kids can be horrible and they make up horrible lies and stuff like that, and surely adults should be more wise than that. Say, oh shut up.
Yeah, but it's kind of good that not so much that she goes through the shit, but it's good that she ends up kind of finding the losers and stuff like that. So she gets her wee core groupie friends.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, it just angers me. I'm just like, no. Just like adults should,
adults should not believe the rumours.
Yeah, it's just not nice, and obviously, but Bev, as you say, Bev's got the group and stuff like that. But yeah. But yeah, sort of off a tangent is again. I've sort of brought us back to chapter 1. I'm sorry, but I'm just thinking anything else.
No, there's not. We're just going to move on.
Okay, chapter 2.
Yeah, because
we should just done this in 2 parts. Chapter
No. We should know. We should have told you to shut up, and we could kind of continue on. So we'll talk about chapter 2 before kind of tying up. So chapter 2 takes part 27 years after like the original events. Just prior to this, everybody's like, if it ever comes back and everything, like we'll band together and we'll kind of come back and everything, what have you. And then all the adult versions come back. First thing I'll say about the adult casting, pretty much absolutely 100% spot on.
Yeah.
The way that some of them actually look. Like I was saying to Yvonne, so the bloke they've got playing Ben, seriously, I'm just like that. It could. I'll take your word for it. They could genuinely kind of be like twins.
Yeah.
Rainn Wilson. Oh no, wait, it's no Rainn Wilson, is it Yvonne? And so
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader. Absolutely fantastic as Richie, but then again, as in general, I don't think I've ever really seen anything Bill Hader's been in, and no, actually thought he's been brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought it was Rainn Wilson. I seem to get the two of them always mixed up.
Yeah, because they didn't look anything alike.
They don't look anything alike, but Bill Hader, yeah.
Jessica Chastain, which I'm pretty sure was one of the suggestions for the last that played Bev. She actually was just like.
I think a lot of them kind of suggested.
I think definitely Jessica Chastain and Bill Hader were essentially like in the running almost straight away, and then I think there was rumours surrounding McAvoy at first, playing kind of the older Bill. Cause I don't think you like. I don't know if you still are or not, but you weren't a huge fan of McAvoy at one point, were you?
I don't know. I think it's just because I do like McAvoy. I like him a lot, and I know he's very versatile. Is that what your word you use?
It is a word that you would use, and it fits.
Yeah, and he's really good at what he does. I just think he was just a bit everywhere, and I was just like, oh man, McAvoy, I'm like, really? But then I thought, oh no, he actually is good. And I'm just like, yeah, and he's really good as Bill.
Yeah, I think McAvoy is actually one of the better actors working the day. Split was absolutely fantastic. First thing we seen him in, I think together was Last King of Scotland.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or something. Yeah.
Gosh, gee willikers, yes
Gosh,
it was.
geez, oh.
But yeah, so everybody cast in the older versions, I think, was absolutely spot on. Guy who plays Eddie, spot on.
Yeah.
Bill, Stan, even though unfortunately Stan isn't actually on screen for too long, the guy they got to play him in the kind of brief kind of like seconds, brilliant.
Yeah.
Like honestly, you're just sitting there going, like seriously, did you just like invent an aging potion and just age some of these people up?
Yeah.
So yeah, like pretty much looked exactly like him, which I thought was brilliant. Same as the kind of second half, the mini series, they're all phoned by Mike. Mike's like, you have to come back, and everybody's like, fuck. And then they kind of all kind of meet back up. Just before I start going into that, I'm going to talk about the opening scene where they're actually in Derry, and there's a gay couple at like the fun fair and everything, and then they meet. Is it Becky, the wee lassie, or am I?
Becky.
Is it the
No,
one
'cause
with
it's
with the birthmark on her face?
No, that's later on. That's
No, but you actually see her at the beginning of the
do
film.
you?
Yeah. So you when the guy wins the prize, he actually hands it to the wee lassie that you see later on in the film.
Yeah.
So so there's a gay couple, and then unfortunately there is some backwards kind of like troglodytes,
So cool.
essentially kind of like being all homophobic and scumbaggy, and so they're effectively attacked, and then one of the guys is kind of thrown off the bridge and kind of effectively left to die. But don't you worry, everything is okay because he's rescued by this guy. Which leads to one of my absolute. It was my favorite shot in the trailer, and it was but basically, obviously, Pennywise is like yummy, like boy gets kind of eaten, and then again, I think this is why I think the red balloons are better, because this scene is absolutely striking. But then all the kind of red balloons start leaking down across the bridge and across the water, and it's like fucking yes! It's so cool, and it's also like, you know, you're just like, fuck, he's back, kind of thing.
And it's when Mike comes to investigate, obviously, all the police tapes up and stuff like that when they find the body, and he just sees that wee bit of the balloon. It was like, but I love Derry. And it's just like, oh my god.
And then he sees is it Come Home that's spray painted on the...
Yeah, that's right, Come Home on the bridge.
Well, no, it's not spray painted, it's in blood on the kind of side of the bridge kind of thing, and it's just like, that's why he kind of goes ahead and kind of phones everybody. So, again, much like the way the kind of original miniseries works, only it all takes place in the second part. You get to see everybody... as their older versions basically kind of getting called back in, which I thought was actually fairly kind of like fairly the same. So Richie's still a comedian. Stan, I don't know what was he in the original. Oh no, he's like a limo. He owns a limo company or whatever. But in this, he's like a risk assessment insurance guy.
It.
Oh no, what did I say? Did I say something? So yeah, I mean Eddie. So he's a risk insurance kind of guy. Bev looks like she's in but she's in well, you didn't really get to see her job, because like the first time you see her, she's in a loving relationship, and then obviously you kind of find out that he's a scumbag.
It's kind of like the same. Well, she's kind of waiting for the same man as her dad.
So basically, she's kind of
that's what she sort of said in the original, wasn't it?
And I think I didn't even think I noticed this the first time because I wasn't kind of paying attention. But I love the fact that the person that Eddie has married is the same actress that played his mum in the first part. I thought that was absolutely genius.
It's brilliant.
And so and Ben's like super successful, and
he's an
like
architect.
he's all like slim and sexy Ben now, and but and then so they all kind of go back to Derry, and they kind of meet at the Chinese restaurant, which again the scene was I actually wasn't expecting to see that scene in the 90s version, but that was in there. And then the bit with the fortune cookies. Now obviously the bit with the fortune cookies is a lot more kind of like CG'd and maybe again production value, but I don't think the 90s version was particularly kind of bad looking. There's the one with the eyeball looking at the fortune cookie, and I was just like, yeah.
There was the wee bird,
the baby bird, which again so I thought that was actually quite cool. So I wonder if that was again potentially for the book. We've no sat for it, but I wonder if that was more kind of like homage to the original version, in that like they're like this bit's cool and we're just going to include that in.
I'm just going to say that I was just going to say that the restaurant looks exactly the same. Just like like, you know, the entrance and stuff like that, and the way how they've got that separate room. It just looked. I was like, well, it's pretty much the same restaurant, even though it's a different name. But looks the same.
Yeah. And so in this kind of version as well, though, it's a lot more kind of played out, whereby they have to kind of find, like, they're sacrificing because they're going to do the ritual of Chud, which is it Chud? Chud. Yeah, it's Chud. Chud. But yeah, so like they all have to kind of find like their totem, they're kind of like the thing that they'll sacrifice for the ritual to kind of work, kind of thing, which gives us an excuse to kind of like for them to split up, which is always a great fucking idea in a horror.
Well done.
But also it gives us a chance to see an additional Pennywise encounter that they had as children. So like the kids are back in this version as well. It's weird how they reversed that, because in the original one, like, it's kind of almost flashbacky where the kids are like, you know, almost kind of bit parts. But then obviously the kids were so like, they were focused so much in the first one, and the second one they're still in it because they're predominantly in flashback. Although I heard they had to be digitally de-aged, which is really weird, but obviously because kids are like essentially gonna gone through growth spurts like all the bloody time, that's what's gonna happen there. But so yeah, they all go and they find their kind of thing and what have you, and then they all kind of meet again.
And obviously, as you know, one of my favourite bits, which was kind of spoiled for me a wee bit when we saw in the cinema, the you know how they tend to do we're going to show you about 5 minutes clip from a film that's coming out sort of thing. So it's the bit with Mrs. Kirsch. Yeah. That is absolutely one of my favourite bits. I don't know about you. Is it one of your favourite bits in second?
I mean, I like it. I think it's unfortunately marred by, again, because we saw it first, and it wasn't really like they claimed it was a teaser trailer, but it wasn't really a teaser trailer. It was like, we're going to show you pretty much this whole scene, and it's just like,
but I think the woman who plays Miss, she actually looks quite like the woman who's in the original one. I thought when I watched it, I was like, yeah, she's quite similar. But I think it's just really creepy. It's really unsettling. So obviously, Bev's in her childhood home. She's obviously looking around.
I'll make you some tea, dear. No, you're all right. I'm fine.
I know, just like, it's okay, I've got to go. And then obviously sits in to have tea. Mrs. Kirsch is obviously sweating buckets and stuff like that, and she's like, okay.
Nobody really leaves here.
And I was like, hello. I'm just like, that's the warning sign. I'm going to go.
Well, to be fair, in that scene, there is so many red fucking flags. It's not even funny. The amount of times, like, so if any normal sane person was in a horror movie situation, like alarm bells and everything are going off in this scene, because like there's that scene where where she stares, and where you kind of get glimpses there in the kind of kitchen and in the hall where she's like wiggling away to herself, kind of thing. You're just like,
and it's
no.
And again, it's kind of like a wee bit like in the first one when with the library. It's like you see Mrs. Kirsch in the back, and you see her kind of peeking when Beverly's looking at the photo. You're like, oh, it's just like, and then you see her naked. You see her just walking along. You're like, what the? And then it's when, obviously, hope people have seen this, but spoiler alert. But it's obviously when she comes out and she's huge, and she's got her.
I actually think that's the bit that kind of.
Does it ruin it for you?
Well, it's not so much that it ruins it. It's just that's what kind of it loses something, I think, because it's the big CGI version. I think when she's all creepy and what have you at first, it's just like, you know, that's the bit that's just like, whoa. But then when they did the money shot, effectively, you're just like, all right, okay, cool, whatever, kind of thing.
I think, and as well, before she leaves, obviously you see Pennywise about the makeup. So you see Bill Skarsgård about the makeup. He's just starting to, and he pulls he makes his face all bloody. And I just think, oh, it's so creepy, it's awesome.
Yeah, They absolutely nailed the casting with Skarsgård. Because I'll agree, that kind of scene where he's kind of taunting Bev, and then as I say, when he drags down and everything, and he's actually scrapes the lines, and you're just like, all right, cool. Again, I'm wondering if there is a significant backstory about the actual kind of character in the kind of book. It's I very rarely kind of read kind of prose, mainly because I don't really kind of have the attention these days. I used to kind of read a shitload when I was in kind of school, but it's mainly kind of comics and graphic novels now. But it's a book that I probably would want to kind of just get through. It's obviously a nice short kind of.
I know it's about 1,000 pages long.
Yeah, I know, that's why
I mean, I really do want to read it as well. I think for me though, even though Stephen King's like the king of horror, he's just an amazing writer. It's just but I find him incredibly hard to read because I've read The Shining before, or most of The Shining, and I found it really hard. And obviously Mark's not a fan of The Shining. I like The Shining. I think it's a really creepy film. Mark's not a fan. Obviously I can see you sticking your tongue out. But yeah, I remember reading The Shining. I actually had to give up about halfway through because I thought, I just can't read this book. I'm just like, I'll probably give it another bash, but I would like to read it because, yeah.
Yeah, so other kind of so I think Richie's is a bit CG heavy with the Paul Bunyan thing.
Yeah.
Although, so again, Richie's gonna go like the big CG Paul Bunyan kind of like statue looks a wee bit kind of like meh. But I think the scene directly kind of that follows that way, like the older Richie and Pennywise on top with like the big triangle kind of like pile of balloons and everything, and them floating down is really kind of cool.
It's cool, yeah.
Just kind of moving on as well. Bowers, as we kind of say, like he's a lot more developed in this version, which I really kind of like. In fact, like because I'd never seen the miniseries, I'd never read the book or anything. When I saw the original, the better version of the trailer, which I think the second trailer, weirdly enough, played it as a better teaser trailer for the film as opposed to the kind of the drawn out scene. But there's the scene where you see a bloke in the asylum and he sees the balloon floating past the window. And when I seen the trailer, I was like, I think that's Bowers. I didn't say anything to Yvonne. I kept it because Yvonne was super excited to see the film, so I kept it to myself. But I was like, I think that's who. I think that's who I think it is, kind of thing. And I thought that was really kind of cool. And he's a lot more developed. He's Adam Driver-esque kind of companion who's all corpseified in the second one, but he's a lot more of an antagonist. And which draws us to so I definitely agree that Eddie gets a big raw deal in the second one as well, because
he gets stabbed in the cheek.
He gets stabbed in the cheek by Bowers when he goes into the loo, which is pretty horrific looking. But as an absolute fucking boss, pulls a knife at his own cheek and absolutely nails Bowers with it as well, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I think the boy playing Eddie in this in the sequel is so good.
Yeah,
he's so good. But yeah, there's also the bit with the leper. And the leper kind of goes off full Sam Raimi and Drag Me to Hell kind of vomit all over him, and it's horrendous. But
it's just when he comes back to the hotel that they're staying in, and Beverly's on the stage, goes, "What?" He goes, "No, I'm fine.
Leave me alone."
It's fine. And it's like when Richie comes back later, he's like, "Move!" He's just like, because I think he goes through something. Obviously, after I think that's the Paul Bunyan bit. He's just like, "Move! I'm going." Just like, just like as anyone would, I suppose. Just like I've had it. Just like no.
But again, don't get me wrong. Like Bowers isn't hugely developed, but he still gets a bit more screen time. There's he's a lot more of an antagonist in this one, and I feel that he is a bit more of a threat. Unlike in the original one, where he's just like, "Hiya, ooh, I stabbed you. Ooh, you're scared of the claw."
He is creepy in the first one though.
Yeah,
he is intimidating, but he's more difficult. I agree. Yeah.
So we've been talking for about an hour now, so I think we should maybe kind of start to look to wrap this up. So yeah, shh. Because again, people are probably kind of turning off right now.
Listen, I just
No.
want to say a couple.
Conclusion. We're going to the conclusion.
So rude.
No, it's not.
It is.
So we'll talk about the bit in the cavern. Not rude.
It's
Anyway, well then you do your own separate show with like blackjack and hookers and what have you. It's a Futurama reference.
all right.
Okay. Anyway, get into it. So the climax of the film kind of wraps up in effectively the cavern. So the same like version of the cavern effectively you see in the original, but like instead of the kind of crab monster, you basically get Bill Skarsgård is a big kind of giant spider crab thing.
Spider crabby thing.
Yeah, but again, it's him, and so I think the interaction with him is a lot more kind of hardcore. Again, people complained about the CG for this bit. I didn't really kind of get that. I thought it actually looked really kind of cool. At points they all get kind of separated and they end up kind of going through their own kind of panic. I think the creepiest bit in it is when Richie is deadlighted, because he's like, right, okay, I'm gonna kick ass, and then like he's kind of flashed by the deadlights and immediately becomes kind of paralyzed and his eyes kind of go all glazed over and everything. It's properly kind of fucked up.
Yeah. I think the Beverly's bit as well, and obviously when she's in the
blood loo.
The blood loo, she's in the cubicle, and obviously all the faces, like her dad, the pharmacist's daughter, there's somebody else.
So, Young Burrows, who goes, here's Johnny.
Yeah.
Oh, a Shining reference, how original.
Yep. But then Ben, he's in the hideout.
He's getting buried alive.
Yeah,
Aye.
and then he's just like, Beverly, I love you. And then they sort of find each other. I'm just like, oh, lovely.
And the I like it was it like when Richie and Eddie are they've got the scary, not scary, not scary, not scary, scary talk kind of thing. And they're like, we've played this dance before, because that's a kind of callback to the original. And at one point, I think beforehand, they mentioned, like, they were hoping it'd be a chihuahua or something, and it is actually chihuahua. And they're like, oh, it's really cute, and then it fucking mutates into something. The thing that really reminds me is, if anybody's seen the Twilight Zone movie, there is like one of the kind of shorts is about the kid who everybody needs to keep happy around, which I know they parodied in The Simpsons as well. But because if they didn't, like, he'll get like he can kind of psychically create something. And there's a bit with this big fucking bunny thing. I didn't think a lot of the kind of Twilight Zone movie was kind of overly kind of scary, but that thing was just like, nope, I'm having none of that kind of pish. And so I thought that the dog thing, like in the brief kind of screen time it's actually in, kind of reminded me a bit of that. I thought it was pretty cool. Bill obviously ends up back in his waterlogged basement with Georgie, and Georgie's like, you lied and I died, because implying that basically Bill Wisney's sick that day, and it was his fault he died, and it's a lot of bullshit. Pennywise is just fucking with him. Yep,
just quickly in the first one when we see Georgie.
We're not talking about the first one anymore.
But it's just when he's mentioned when you see obviously Georgie in the basement sort of thing. When Bill goes down, he's like thinks Georgie's alive, but it's just when you know that Pennywise is like puppeting him. Yeah, and it's just like, and then Pennywise goes forward in the water and stuff like that, and he goes to the stairs and he just kind of goes back down again. That's
anyway, we're talking about the second one and the conclusion. So
see, it's just like I've got so much stuff to see.
Obviously, just prior to everybody kind of going through shit and everything, the ritual of chud you, basically goes tits up because Mike was a lying prick. And so everybody's like, what the fuck, Mike? You completely dropped the ball here, man. What's going on? And so that's when Pennywise goes apeshit. I don't know how much I kind of like you're really small, we're no scaredy. I don't know how much I like that, although I do kind of like when Pennywise is all melted and they just kind of reach in and they kind of grab his heart, and he kind of feebly paws it. I think that's pretty cool. I think it's a bit shit what happens to Eddie. I think that's really kind of sad. I think Richie's character definitely just kind of going back, definitely gets a lot more character development in this, because it's implied that obviously he has feelings for Eddie, which he never gets to express, which is really kind of shit. But you're gonna start. Everyone's going to start welling up and crying here.
It's just, I mean, even though it is a horror film, I actually find it quite emotional, in the first part and the second part. The first part,
keep it together, keep it together.
It's just, whenever I watch it, I think it's just at the end, when you see all the bodies of the kids and they all float down, I find that really emotional. And then when Bill finds George's jacket, and then they all hug Bill, I think it's heartbreaking. Because
Yvonne is actually going to cry.
I'm going to cry. It's just so, and just as Mark said, just with Eddie at the second one, it's just obviously Richie did love Eddie, and it's just when he's just broken. And I think as well when they go back to the is it the Barons?
The quarry Baron, yeah.
And they're on the water getting all cleaned up and stuff, and then they all just hug each other, and it's just like, obviously realising obviously Eddie's not there, and it's just like they're just all still together. I think I just broke down again. I was just like, it's just heartbreaking.
Whole face cried off.
It's really sad.
So, in terms of both films as well, just to kind of wrap this up, I don't find them overly scary. There's, don't get me wrong, there's bits with Bill Skarsgård that are properly like, holy fuck, no danger kind of thing. The bit that you just kind of mentioned, where I'm in the kind of basement, I think, so the bit where he's running towards, I think is supposed to be implied to be the scarier part, but I'll agree, the bit where he's on the stairs and he just slumps back into the water, that's pretty fucked up. It's like, nope. And I think again, the scene where he appears in the projector slide. Again, I think everybody is expecting like the big scary moment to be like the big giant kind of Pennywise that appears, but I think it's actually creepier at first when the hair starts to kind of waft past. And then he kind of transforms into Pennywise again. So I think a lot of the kind of scares are misfires, but at the same time there's scary elements and then enough. So I agree. I think the bit where you realise that he's been like George has been puppeteered by Pennywise is kind of like properly
really
kind of creepy.
Yeah. And
I was just going to say callback in terms, we kind of glossed over it, but I think one of the kind of the creepiest and like saddest scenes is again in the sequel, the follow up, is the young lass that follows the firefly under the kind of bleachers.
Yep.
I want to say Becky, but I could be kind of like
I thought it was Vicky.
Vicky sounds right.
Vicky, yeah.
We'll go for Vicky. And obviously Pennywise kind of plays on like the fact she's got the birthmark, and he's like, people don't like how I look, and like it's so kind of creepy, and it just kind of goes to show how much a absolute bastard Pennywise actually is.
It's a lot more gory in the second one with the kids, because with Vicky and then with the kid in the funhouse.
And the Holly Mirrors eye, like it's just like
just see the blood, like, just like Bill's trying to save him, just like oh god, just like you know, as you say, he's Pennywise is a bastard, killing kids and stuff. But
but they really, I think they really hammer it home in the kind of second one as well.
And just very quickly, so I know you want to wrap this up very quickly, but you know how much I love these films, and I could go on for everybody's films. Just very, very quickly, obviously in the first one, Bev in the bathroom with the hair, that creeps me the fuck out, because I'm just like...
That was good, okay.
And again, it's just, like you said, with the projection, obviously it's a wee thingy in terms of the original, because obviously they just changed it up, because obviously with the picture in the scrapbook, and then they obviously just changed it with the slideshow and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously in the original, Mike's all researching Old Derry, and it's Ben in the new one.
Because Ben's kind of like a loner until he eventually kind of meets him. I mean, they're all like, a lot of them are loners, but Ben's the one that kind of uncovers all the shit and has got like all the shit on his wallets, and you're just like, dude, seriously, get a girlfriend.
And you think he's the new one? Is he the new one in town? But he's not really.
Yeah, he is.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's like that's why they call him New Kid.
I know, but I think he's New Kid, but he's not overly new.
Yeah, no, he's still new.
Oh, because I was just looking at my ink book and it said he's not.
Right, okay. Anyway, I was just looking at my ink book. An hour ago she was looking at her ink book.
I was doing research. But yes, it's just absolutely love these films so much. I'm just, as I say, I could talk about these films for ages more, but I'm just trying to think. Just in terms of how much we love trailers and stuff, and I think you obviously touched on it with the just a tiny wee bit, but the way that these were marketed, I think just the teaser trailers, it just showed enough for me to be like, yes, please. Well, and I was just like,
I would say that the so the second one we were talking about this, but the teaser trailer for the second one was the scene that showed, I think, too much, because it played the long drawn out scene, and then the theatrical trailer I think was a lot better.
Well, yeah, the ones that we keep. Well, sometimes Mark and I will watch some trailers just because we love watching trailers, but it's always the one that we watch and stuff, isn't it? Yeah, because I love it. It's just so well done.
Right.
And I'm just trying to think if there's anything else to say.
Well, you're gonna have to kind of say it quickly, because I'm gonna wrap it up for the poor people that are watching.
Okay, I apologise. But yeah, just I could probably just watch these films right now, probably. But also we're not gonna.
No, because I need to get this uploaded. So, will you please? Right, so Yvonne really likes the films. I really like the films. I thought the miniseries was actually decent. It wasn't anywhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. As I said, I think the first half was a wee bit weaker than the second. Shush, you're not allowed to speak anymore. You're not allowed to speak anymore unless you're wrapping it up. No segues. We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up. Wrapping up.
Just one question. What's your fear? If you were in the film, what would be your fear if Pennywise was chasing you and stuff like that?
Well, see, I'm not gonna broadcast my fear on a video online.
Mine's along the lines as Richie, because I hate dolls. I think, well, that's not a doll, but creepy ass dolls. No, just no, thank you. Yeah, so that would be my fear. But
Yeah,
Obviously,
and
if you're not playing along, then fine.
no, I'm not playing along. Right,
Fine.
okay. Thank you very much for watching. If
Thank
you've
you.
sat through it this bloody long, I'm sorry for the amount of segues.
We're just
Because
passionate about it.
no,
That's
no,
what I mean.
no. I've tried to put a bit of structure into it, people. I'm sorry. But anywho, enjoy what is left of your evenings.
I had fun. Thanks for having me on.
That's nice. Okay. And Pennywise says good night as well. Thanks for watching. Shh.